Okay, let's start by creating these components. For that, we will create a folder, components, and inside that folder, we will create our components. First is the top bar component. We'll use a box component, and inside the box we'll put a button component. Mint. Let's see how can we put this button, like emphasize the button. So color scheme, teal, and size large. Cool, we have a top bar. Let's change this to use a container, and it's a property in the container. Let's find the container documentation. Oh, max width. So let's use the MD max width. And inside that container, we will put our top bar component. Okay. So let's run this application and let's see how this is looking now. Okay, so we have the mint button here. Now let's start creating the NFT element. So this component over here. For this component, I think a grid with 2 columns will be good. So let's find the grid element in Chakra. And we have grid and grid item. Okay, grid, template columns, and gap. Let's copy this code. So I only need 2 columns and two. So this will be the image and this will be the form. Okay, so let's put that NFT element. Okay, let's see how our app is looking now. Perfect, so we have image and form. Cool, so the image, oh yes, this is the one that we want to use. Okay, let's install Dropzone. Cool. And now let's see how we use it. So we can use a div, and it has an input, and use the drop zone. Okay. So we need to use this import, this hook, and we need to create a function for the onDrop. Let's just console log those files. And we need to use the drop zone hook. Cool. So in the div, in the image area, we will paste this code. And let's see if that works. Cool. So we can drag and drop some files. We will need an image file. Let's see, we can pull out an image file. Let me find an image. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I have an image of Chicago that I will use. And this picture is just an image of Chicago. I took this myself when I was visiting the city last year. So let's see, we can do a drag and drop here. Drop, there you go. So this is working. Since we are logging in the console, the files that we upload, let's check the console to see if this works. So drag and drop the file, here's the file. Perfect. So we have a file, the name is Chicago, size is an image, perfect, and we have the file. Cool, so that drag and drop works. Perfect. It would be nice that we load the file when we do a drag and drop. So let's see, how can we load the actual data from that file? So for that, we have to find JavaScript file load image. Let's see, how can we do that? Okay, so this is the code that we need. It's using the file reader, and let's do that here. So we have a new file reader. Set the files So if accepted files dot length is bigger than 0, so we will take at least the first file, and we just want to console log the result for now. Okay, so let's see what about this change. Oops, let me show the terminal. Let's drag and drop. There you go, that's the image. Now it's loading the image as base 64. Maybe that's not exactly what we want. Oh, read as data URL. Maybe we need to read it as array buffer. Let's do it again. And there you go. We have the full buffer, 3 megabytes of image right there. Perfect. Okay, so our image component is already getting the information for the image, right? You can see here. We can drag and drop the image directly, and we're getting the image as an array buffer. Now, having all this information and all this logic in the same component, it kind of gonna make it messy. So what I will going to do is to create a new component, and we'll call it image upload. And this will be a component that will have image. You have a value. In this case, the value will be a string or an array buffer or null, and an unchanged. So this will be effectively a control input. Right? So the logic for this, I will copy it from the NFT Element component. So I am isolating that logic into this component. There you go. Now, in here I will do onChange, and I'm not doing anything yet with the value, but let's modify this here to be image upload input, and let's create a state here, image change set image. Okay, and we should have the same functionality, but now with a component. So we are isolating all the file upload here in this component, image upload input, and this image or load input, it will work as a control input. That means that it will have a value property and unchanged property. So we still get, now if we open the React component, we can check that image should load. Where's the image should load? Over here. And as you can see, the value is that image. There you go. Cool. Now we can take that image that we're getting and we can render the image if we have an image, right? So let's do that. Over here, we will say if value, then render an image tag where the source is an image. Let's call this image. So we don't have image yet, and we will calculate this image from the value. The point is that value is an array buffer, so we need to convert that array buffer to an actual base64 image that we can use. And for that, we will use a React use memo hook. So if value, then we will return a URL yeah, there you go. If it's not, then return just no. So we are creating an image from the array buffer, and that will show the image in the screen like this. So if we drag and drop the image, it will show that image. Cool. Oh, this section over here, I think we can disable that once we have an image. So we can, let's do this, dot image, okay. So if we don't have an image, we show that message. Let's refresh this page, and that's the interface when we don't have an image. If we drop an image there, we will show an image and no message. Cool. We should add a button to remove the image. I think that would be a good idea. So let's see if we can add that here. So this is a div, and I'll just create a button here. See how that would look like. Remove. Let's make it smaller. Okay, button. Let's see the sizes. size excess. Okay, see it? Okay, so what will happen when we click in this button is that we will set this value to null. So upon click of the button, we will do onChange null. There you go. Oh, that button should only be visible when we have an image. So we need to image, and so we are conditionally rendering this button only when we have an image, like now. Remove. There you go. Now that blue color is kind of like not good. Let's change it. I think this is on the NFT element. Oh yes, background. Guess we can change some different color. Not showing any color at all. Cool. Let's find some typography types. And okay, so text styles. So we have margin, we had colors and backgrounds, we had gradients, typography. Okay, we can import text. Oops, not here. Still here. So let's make this a text. Okay, and the font size will be font size. Font size, let's do MD. Small, let's do small. Okay. Let's look at the interface now. A lot better. Cool. Now we can center this. Let's put this in a box. And okay, just more few touches to this interface. The first thing that we're going to do is to center. There you go. And let's give this box here some background color. Let's make it gray 100. Let's give it a border radius and some padding. And let's see how this looks in our interface. Oh, nice. So, see, there you go. A lot better. That's it. That's it for the image. So this is the image upload input. Now, let's commit the changes, and let's then focus on the form part of the NFT element component. Going to the terminal. So this is the component image upload input. There you go. Perfect. Okay, so let's finish this component. And over here is the NFT component, and we will change this a little bit. So it's I want to make this work on mobiles too. So let me make some changes. I would use a simple grid here. Simple grid is a component from Chakra, and you have columns, and the columns, so in small it will be 1 column, in medium will be 2 columns, and let's add a gap of 2. Perfect. Simple grid. Okay, and okay, we can change this now to be just boxes. Same here. Right, this will make our component okay. So what if this is a mobile? There you go, good job. There you go. Perfect. So it works well on mobiles. Okay, and I will add also a delete button over here. So let me add a button. So we have a box. Let's put a flex here. Direction row. So this will be a button to delete the row, the NFT, that a particular element, and we will have 2 things here. Let's create a box and then put a button inside. And it will be a red button. And inside the button we will put an icon. So Steam. So for that we will need to install the Chakra buttons. Let's Google how that works. Icons. and it seems that we need to install, oh, not this, icons. Oh, we need to install Chakra icons. Let's do that right now. Cool. Okay, what button are we going to use? We're going to use the delete icon. Great. So that means that in our interface we will have a button over here. Nice. Let's give it some gap because these two are too close together, and I think here we can just gap one. There you go. Cool. Okay, that will do for the image section and the delete button. So this button will delete the whole NFT. Remember, this is a component that we can put as many NFTs that we want to create from our interface. So the next step is to create the form. Let's go there. Now for the form, let's create a VStack. This is a VStack. So VStack is a component from Chakra that allows you to put several elements in a vertical stack or an horizontal stack. I would use a gap of 2, so 2 will be the space in between elements, and each element will be a form control. Form control is a Chakra element for forms. You can have a label, and the label can have a size, so I will use the size small, and this will be the name. And the input, we'll have a value. This will be for now just the name, let's say Chicago. And the on-change, for now I won't do much. Oh, I see. Yeah, so type of here. And let's make it size small. Cool. So we need 3 of these. 1 for the name, 1 for the description, and 1 for the quantity. Now for the quantity, instead of an input, we will use a number input. It's a different type of input that simplifies the input of numbers. And number input. Let me see if this imported. Nope. Let's import number input, and we have ourselves a form. Let's check how this form is looking. Nice. So we have the name, we have the description, and the quantity. Nice. Okay, so this is the view. We only need to modify a little bit of state so we can actually type in this inputs. And that's it. Let's modify. Just let's give it a little bit of a little bit of padding because it's too crowded here. See, yeah, a little bit better. Okay, so let's work on the state. For the state, we will create a state hook that will have the name. I think we can create a single state that has the whole NFT element value. So let's call it value and set value. And actually this element can also be a control input. So let's do it that way. Let's create an interface. NFT element props, we will have a value, and let's call this an element data, and the on change like this. Now we have to define what that NFT element data is. Interface NFT element data. Wait, something wrong here? Yes. Okay. So NFT element props. So the NFT element data will be the name is a string, description is a string, quantity is a number, and image is exactly that. And we can say here this will accept an NFT element props. That means that we'll have value and onChange. And we no longer need this state. So here will be value.image, and so image onChange there you go. I think the 100 setting on the prettier page is making this a little bit longer. So let's change that prettier RC 100. Let's change it to 80. So let's see if this, yes, a little better. Cool. So we can do the same for the name. It will be value.name. We can copy this and use it on the description. And we can use this in the quantity. Here is just the quantity. Quantity. Okay. Oh, we have to parse it. So on change value as a string and value as a number. Okay, that's cool. We don't care about the first one, we only care about the second one. There you go. Okay, so we have the state managed for this. Let's export this type. Actually, let's create a types folder, types file, so we can simplify our types. New file, types, and let's put this NFT element data here, so we can import it here in the component. There you go. Perfect. Of course, now we have the problem that NFT element requires value. So it's a control input. It now requires that we set a state for him. So let's call it NFT elements. Let's import this NFT element type, and we can map all the NFT elements, and we want to return the NFT element. NFT element doesn't have an ID, so the key will be the index value equals NFT element, and the value, so depending on the index we want to change that index, so this function will take a little bit more of tinkering. Let's see, how can we create this change function on change function? Usually this type of data manipulation, so we don't want to mutate the NFT elements array. So usually what we do is something like this. We create a new array, and we set the value, and we set the, oops, yeah. By the way, all the code that you see in being auto-generated, that's just GitHub Pilot doing his work. It's really amazing. You will see a lot of that. So cool. Since we only have, since we don't have any elements, because this array will start empty, we need like a button to basically create an empty element, and I will create an add button, add NFT button here, and this will be on click, and we will basically add an NFT to the collection. So set NFTs, well, basically, yeah, that's what we want. Oh, we're missing quantity. So quantity 1. There you go. That's the button. Let's see how this is looking. Perfect. Let's add an NFT. We can add several. We can drag and drop the files. I think there is an error with the onChain function. We will solve that. But yeah, there you go. And we can send the name. So this is Chicago Theater. Picture taken at 1 a.m. Quantity 1. Good. So let's see why this is not working. Well, we can manage the state in the next episode. For now, let's see how can we make it work in a way that doesn't break. So we have all the elements, and we are adding one more. If we are modifying value, set NFT elements, the new elements. Okay, I think the problem is in the component, the function that handles the image. Oh, there you go. So we have the image, and if we change the image, put all the things, and we put the image. Yeah, I don't think any issues here. Let's see how the state, what happens with the state. Oh, and we need to do this button, this delete button. So let's do that. So we need to add to the NFT element another event on delete. And that's what we're going to execute when we click on that delete button. Here, on click, on delete. Right, so let's fix it here. On delete, and on delete will be a function that will remove that index. And yeah, pretty much what I need. Now for these data functions, I think it will be better if we remove the function from here. I think it's getting too complicated. For example, this is the chain function. Let's create a chain function here. Create handle change function. So the first thing that we have is the index, and then we have the value, and what we do is that we there you go. So here it will be gray, and the change for the index. Same for here. Create handle delete for the index. Let's see. There you go. And for the delete button, oh, this is the add NFT button. So handle add NFT. Handle add NFT. This is the okay, a lot cleaner now. So we had three functions: handle change, handle delete, and handle add NFTs. Let's see. There you go. We can delete it. Perfect. We can add more than one. We can delete one. Let's change the name here. I think we need some spacing between them. Let's find if we have in the VStack some way to separate them. So, oh, dividers. So we have a stack divider. Oh. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, so the code is ready, components are ready, and this is all that we need to do in terms of UI. I made a little bit of changes regarding the organization and the styling. I also added Ramda as a library to help me make this type of data modifications. That's really simple. Like if I want to remove an element, if I want to change an element, let's remove some, and that's it. Those are our components. So right now we have an application that allows us to add NFTs to a collection, allow us to drag and drop images, allow us to set the names, and all the information we will have it in the state. So in the state you see that we have an array with all the information from each element, and that's it. That's all that we need to do in terms of UI components. In the next episode we will see how to create an API endpoint that will send the images and the necessary JSON files to an NFT storage service. So then we can mint this NFT collection using Ethers. So that's the next episode. See you next episode.